fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top here.
Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go.
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Welcome one and welcome all to SimSpeed TV this Tuesday night. You've been watching the Pro Truck Showdown on this channel over the last month and a bit, and we've certainly seen a lot of controversy and a lot of exciting racing, but now we're bringing it to the magnificent Road America circuit in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin for round 5 of 6. Big, long straights at this circuit and an awful lot of history. But the drivers won't be worrying too much about that. They're going to be focusing on their qualifying laps at the moment, trying to maximize those heavy braking zones into these tight turns. My name is Reese Gardner, and as usual, joining me in the commentary box is Cameron Dance. Cam, we go from the tight and cramped Charlotte Roval circuit to one of the most open and fast road courses on the North American continent. This place is magnificent.
Certainly is, and it doesn't matter what cars we end up taking to the circuit. It usually provides really good racing at the end of the day. So it's going to be one that we're going to have to watch today, because it's bound to be absolutely insane how good the racing is going to be.
Yes, indeed. Road America, of course, located on the shores of the Great Lakes here in the Midwest of the United States, and it was built in 1955. By a highway engineer named Cliff Tufty, who was looking to keep racing in Elkhart Lake after the road races here were unfortunately cancelled due to spectator deaths. It just wasn't safe enough coming around those public roads back in the day. So Road America, effectively the first permanent circuit built in the United States, along with places like Watkins Glen and Virginia International Raceway. They're the old guard of American racetracks. But you see a lot of opportunities here for slipstreaming down to turn 1, turn 5, and then down into Canada Corner at turn 12. But there's a few challenging corners in here that are very short, very sharp, and they're going to test how the drivers can transfer the weight of these huge, top-heavy trucks.
Certainly, there's going to be a lot of work behind the wheel of these things, especially through some of those corners where you've got undulation or you've got off camber and that sort of stuff. So there's really going to be a lot of work for these drivers to get around some of these corners, but certainly, nevertheless, it's going to be a challenge they're all going to have to put up with, and certainly one that's going to create some very good racing, hopefully.
Hopefully indeed. Championship leader Brenton Hobson, he is 24 points ahead of his teammate Glenn Postlethwaite. The Synergy Sim Racing duo have shown themselves to be the class of the field in this season of the Pro Truck Showdown, and Hobbo currently on his hot lap, taking us around this brilliant Road America circuit. This run through the Hurry Downs down the back straight is going to be one of the most crucial places on the opening lap, because you've got a very heavy braking zone here into turn 5. You can go beyond the track limits slightly in these trucks, but you slow down a massive amount for that very tight turn and use all the curb that you can on the exit. Try and set up a good run up the hill here into yet another right angle corner here at turn 6. But then you go down through the Hurry Down section. It's a very difficult to get right, that right-hand kink, and there's not much beyond the curb to save you if you make a mistake. But you get another braking zone down here in the turn before the carousel. Plenty of opportunities to send one up the inside.
It certainly is, and then you've obviously got the carousel that flows on from it. Probably going to be one of the most patience testing corners on this entire track for these drivers, especially in these big heavy trucks that have plenty of roll and everything, and you're not going to want to get on the throttle too early, or you're going to end up with either heaps of wheel spin, or you're going to end up understeering straight off the circuit. And then the kink, which is again a very committed corner, and also one that's going to test patience very much, with the fact that you don't want to get on that throttle again too early. So few corners here that are really going to test a driver's ability, and certainly ones that are going to throw up opportunities for passes to happen at the following corner if the driver gets them wrong.
Indeed, just like down here at Canada Corner and the section just before it, the kettle bottoms, those left-hand kinks are going to be very difficult to fit trucks side by side at speed. Then this final section of the circuit is all about flow and all about trying to tip it in at the right time. You got to turn in late, get a late apex for this final corner because it's open on entry but tightens up right in the middle. And it's very crucial to get your exit right onto the start-finish straight because you've got that big uphill run to the line. Let's see what Brenton Hobson can do then. One of the first drivers to set a time in this qualifying session. And it's a 2-minute 32.084. That's only 0.04 of a second slower than what he set in practice. So a very good run at first up there for our championship leader. What about Brian Trezise coming up to the line then? It's going to be a slower lap time, and it's going to be a 2:35 there for Trezise as Ryan Jones slots into P2. 2:34.8, but then Daniel Stevens beats him by a second to put it in second place. Hayden Veld goes to third. That bumps Jones further down the order. And Ben Snell running a time 0.4 slower than Hobson, still quite competitive.
And Jane Russell jumping up to P3 as well. So start to see some more times float into the timing sheet and some very, very quick ones as well.
Indeed, we are almost half the field now having set their times, and Damien Westbrook out there on circuit at the moment. Westbrook has not had luck fall his way in this season so far, especially in the midfield. It's become notorious for a lot of contact and a lot of very hard racing that some would call a bit too hard, and Westbrook has been the victim of some of that. He's missed out on some championship points thanks to that, but he'll be hoping for a good run here at Road America. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he's going to make it around in time because we've only got 20 seconds left in the session, and this track obviously very long in these trucks, 2.5 minutes, and we haven't even gotten into the race lengths yet. It's going to be 3 laps in the first race, and at the second race is going to be 5 laps, but then the third race tonight, Cam, is going to be 10 laps. That's by far the longest race we've had in the Pro Truck Showdown to date, and they're going to require a pit stop.
Yeah, it's really going to spice things up. That pit stop in that final race and that extra length of race as well is going to really make strategy and also patience a little bit more of a thing that's going to be quite important, with the fact that you're not going to need to send it up the inside of every single corner and make your way through the field as rapidly as you're going to need to. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens, and we'll see if anybody's probably going to try and feel save their way to the finish line, but who knows?
Who knows indeed. This is the grid then for the first race of the night. It's Hobson and Snell on the front row, with Jaden Russell and Gregory Favell on row 2. Stevens and Rasmussen 5th and 6th. A good performance from them as Veldon Jones 7th and 8th. And these top 10 times, rounded out by Brian Trezise and Philip Howe, the only drivers to have actually set qualifying times.
Yeah, everybody else having to be sorted by iRacing by the looks of it. You've got obviously Jake Maloney and Sam Devante on row 6 in the Mitch McLeod, Glenn Postlethwaite and Russell, Aaron Dillon, Sam Stride, Justin Howe, Damien Westbrook and Kyle Gretch rounding out the top 20.
And the final 3 drivers, Brad Kennedy, Ricardo Morganti, and Jonathan Hancock. Interesting to see McLeod and Postlethwaite as low as they are, starting 13th and 14th. Postlethwaite is 2nd in the championship. McLeod is in 5th at the moment. So they've got to be careful here. They'll be hoping that the draft is good enough that they'll be able to get further up the field and fight then for those extra championship points. But it's going to be all about that start to start things off. Only 20 seconds left on the grid timer, and it looks like the conditions are pretty good as well. Only 22 degrees track temperature, so there'll be some grip out there for the drivers, but those dirt racing tyres they've got on these Pro 2 trucks, they can only deal with so much. Just a few more cars then left to come onto the grid. We're missing a couple of them, but all of our top guys are up there at the front of the field. As the timer comes down to 0, the revs are rising, and we will get ready to go here for 3 laps in the first race of the Pro Truck Showdown at Road America, and we are away. Looks like a pretty even start from Hobson and Snell up at the front. Jaden Russell keeping with them. Gregory Favell lost out slightly on that start as they come down into turn 1. Look for these cones on driver's left. Now that's a big move there for Jaden Russell, getting up the eastern side of Ben Snell and smacks him wide as they come together in the background. It looks like that's Hayden Veld and Ryan Jones that have come together.
That's not going to go down too well in Discord post race, I'll tell you that for me, especially between those two, but not what Blake will have wanted at all. But at the front of the field, what a move by Jaden Russell to move it to second. Caught Ben Snell napping massively. Now Snell's trying to come back at him on the way down towards the following corner at the end of the following straight, and it's looking like he might just be able to do it, but we'll have to see what happens. Is Russell going to break as late as he dares? Looks like he is, but Snell going to try hold it around the outside and takes the position off him.
He does indeed. Round the outside at turn 5. That's pretty well done there from Ben Snell, and he's not done. He's going to try there on Brenton Hobson into turn 6, but ultimately elects to stay behind. Brian Trezise, meanwhile, has been black flagged, and I'm not too sure what that's for. He might have had a part to play in that opening incident. In fact, he did. He went into the back of Hayden Veld, which is what brought he and Jones into the gravel trap at turn 1. So race control very quick on the mark there.
Yeah, certainly very, very quick to assign blame and penalties there. He actually got into the back of Daniel Stevens as well. He got to the side of Damien Rasmussen. So it wasn't just Jones and Veld involved in that, but certainly it was a very, very chaotic start, that's for sure.
Certainly was. Now we get to the fast back section of the lap on the brakes for the kink. The trucks can only just get through this corner. Big, wide corner there from Gregory Favell running behind our top group. It looks like Snell's almost lining up a move on Hobson down at Canada, but elects to stay behind once again. Very close racing there up at the front, but a big oversteer moment for Jaden Russell is going to compromise him slightly, as that looks like a move there. Jake Maloney getting by Damien Rasmussen as we look through to the rear end of the field. Oh no, there's been contact between Sam Stride and Hayden Veld, and Veld's gone straight off the circuit. He almost flipped it there with the side-by-side contact, but that's going to be more positions lost for Hayden Veld after those shenanigans at turn 1. His night's not getting off to a good start.
Yeah, certainly isn't getting off to a good start at all, and is going to actually bring it into the pit lane now due to that damage that he's received from hitting that concrete wall by the looks of it. So unfortunately his night's gone. Well, this race is at least going to be a little bit of a write-off for him, but you can see in the background Brian Trezise having to deal with Damien Westbrook, who sends it up the inside of him. He gets that move done with absolute ease.
He certainly does, and the same thing happened between Gregory Favell and Jaden Russell. Favell now sits in P3 just behind Hobson and Snell, so continuing his charge up there. Daniel Stevens is holding on to this back group as we check out the virtual racing school replay in the bottom right-hand corner of what happened at turn 1. You see Brian Trezise going to the back of Hayden Veld and then sends them all wide. Veld gets into Jones. Jones flips around and, well, oh my goodness, there we go. Top guys have come together there. That's Jaden Russell, who's been spun around. Brenton Hobson just getting away with that. Snell holding on to second, with Favell now into third. Daniel Stevens missing his front end.
Yeah, well, that was an absolutely chaotic turn 3. They're not
Maloney's
quite sure what ended up happening there. Maloney's off too, by the looks of it. Just looking at the replay here, brought to you by Virtual Racing School. It looks like Russell's gone just too deep and ended up going to the side of Ben Snell, and unfortunately Stevens and co really haven't anywhere to go.
Yeah, that's a shame there. Bit over-optimistic from Jaden Russell as we get the onboard here from Daniel Stevens. You see Russell go up the inside there, but the rears break loose and then bam, right into the side of Snell. Poor Daniel Stevens. Yeah, he really had nowhere to go. The entire track was blocked ahead of him.
Certainly a few trucks looking slightly second end after that, especially Daniel Stevens, who's going to have no front end after that and is probably going to end up lacking a lot of straight line speed as a result, and he's going to get done as well by the looks of it by Damien Rasmussen, who just blows on by as a result of that damage.
And Ben Snell defending nicely from Gregory Favell. Favell's had a great turn of pace this season. He's emerged as quite the contender, but now Damien Rasmussen moving up the field, as we just saw there. Daniel Stevens is going to have to defend here from Westbrook coming into the final turn. Westbrook gets a little wide, so does Stevens, a little bit too deep into the final corner, but Westbrook unfortunately not able to get a huge advantage out of that because the run out of the corner was tightened up. Fortunately, thanks to that lack of front end from Daniel Stevens, he has no straight line speed. You can see how much of a difference there is as Sam Stride now just breezes by him on the start-finish straight. Westbrook setting the fastest lap of the race as well, so that is a plus, but this race is only 3 laps. They are on the white flag now, and Brenton Hobson just all on his own up in front. He's got no pressure on him whatsoever. The main battle at the front of the field is for second and third between Ben Snell and Gregory Favell.
Yes, certainly that incident on the previous lap has certainly given Hobson quite the free kick and probably a free win so long as he doesn't make any errors from here. But Favell's looking left and right, trying to find a way on by Ben Snell. He's looking to the outside on the way to turn 3. Snell runs a little bit deep. Favell is going to do an absolutely amazing crossover, but Snell's not going to give this one easily. He's going to try and hold it around the outside, but there's going to be no room to turn in. He's going to have to give that one up.
Yeah, Gregory Favell extends the exit as we check out our race leader in the bottom right. He's way ahead of these guys. The gap is 4.3 seconds, which is absolute country mile in the Pro Truck Showdown. Snell still pressuring Favell, almost gotten to the back of him there down at Hurry Downs, but they continue. He's going to have one more opportunity towards the end of the lap down at Canada Corner if he wants to really send one up the inside. He might have a chance at the final corner as well, but Favell running a bit wide in the second section of the carousel. That gives a slight run to Snell, ever so slight, but he can't get alongside in time for the kink. He's going to have to wait now for the Canada Corner, going into the grass, extending the corner as much as he can, and that's given them the momentum he needs. Favell is going to stick to driver's left here now that Snell is alongside, and on the brakes they get at exactly the same time, but Snell has the corner for the most part. Favell's going to try and hold on here and go side by side into the second last corner. Goodness me, what a battle here for second place. Snell still on the inside then for the final corner of the lap. And it looks like he might just cover it here. Favell might get the over-under across the line, but up ahead, Brenton Hobson is going to take victory once again in the Pro Truck Showdown. The championship leader showing once again why he is on top. A great race win, but between Favell and Snell, it's going to be a drag race. Favell with the draft, and Snell is only just going to beat him there by, well, how much is that? It looks like 3 or 4 thousandths of a second as Brian Traziz comes in to serve his black flag on the last lap.
Yeah, it's probably not quite going to be able to work for him, and he's going to end up at the tail end of the field. Morganti's going to get him at the line as well, so not going to be what he will have wanted, but at least he's finished and scored some points.
Yes, indeed. And then Hayden Veld in the number 53 going to come across the line here as we saw quite the shenanigans down in those heavy braking zones. Hobson, Snell and Favell then your top 3, with Rasmussen and Westbrook completing the top 5. Good results for both of those guys, and that is how they are going to line up here for the second race of the night. Oh dear. It looks to me like we've gone straight over the second race of the night, and we are now in the warm-up session before the final race. So it is only going to be 2 races tonight, but this one, the 10-lapper, is going to be a whopper. Remember, the drivers are going to have to go for a pit stop in this one. We're going to bring you that very shortly, but for now, we're going to go on a very quick break here on SimSpeed TV. You are watching the Pro Truck Showdown Round 5 from Road America, presented by Scumander Coffee Mug and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs.
fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top
Oh
here.
my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
You're watching the Pro Truck Showdown, round 5 of 6 of season 3 from Road America here in virtual Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. My goodness, this has been a strange night of racing so far. A 3-lap race 1 brought carnage at the braking zones of turns 1 and 5, and we've seen quite a few drivers get penalties out of that one. These are the results from the first race, with Brenton Hobson taking a dominant victory over Snell and Favell there in P2 and 3. If you're just joining us, I'm Reese Gardner and Cam Dance joining me in the commentary box. Cam, of the drivers that have received penalties, Brian Trezise did not serve his black flag in time, so he's going to be taking a pit lane start this race.
Yeah, so he's got a little bit of work to do from that pit lane because of the fact that he's going to be way down the order and probably going to end up finishing way behind as well and having to pick up the pieces from people who end up with either DNFs or mistakes. But nevertheless, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But certainly it was a very, very action-packed 3-lap race, but now it's 10 laps.
Indeed it is, and the drivers are going to have to make a pit stop in this race as well. It's not entirely clear how much fuel they'll need to take and how long they'll need to be stopped. We'll all find out along with you. That is the magic of the Pro Truck Showdown. Interesting to note that there's been a few did not starters here today. Mitchell McLeod and Glenn Postlethwaite, P2 and P5 in the championship, not racing here tonight, which is certainly going to help out Brenton Hobson, Ben Snell, and Ryan Jones in those top of the standing fights. It's at 0 now is the timer, and the revs rise once again. 10 laps around Road America with 1 pit stop. That's already a jump start there from Brian Trezise in the 77. Wasn't he supposed to start from pit lane? Either way, away we go, and it's Brenton Hobson into the lead with Ben Snell following close behind. And cars in the grass on the front stretch. That's Hayden Veld, who had to take avoiding action versus Morganti, Howe, Russell, and Trezise. Veld now at the back of the field as they come into turn 1. Some slight contact for Damien Rasmussen and Damien Westbrook, but they managed to file themselves into turns 2 and 3 very nicely. A slight bit of contact there, though. Ryan Jones and Damien Westbrook. Westbrook is around at turn 2. Head-on contact there with the entire rear of the field. Damien Westbrook, unfortunately, with another big incident, not of his own doing.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't. And it was actually Ryan Jones's fault for running into the back of him as well. And then everybody else sort of just charged on in, unfortunately. So Jones probably going to cop a penalty for that, and we'll have to serve it at some point during this race. But at the front of the field, Brenton Hobson's running a little bit wide, and it's giving the opportunity to Ben Snell to try and have a go. But he's going to just sitting behind instead of having to go, which is a little bit interesting. But nevertheless, he's still pushing Hobson very much.
He is indeed, and that looks like Damien Westbrook there in the number 73 off the circuit. Those hits that he sustained coming out of turn 3, I think just too much, and that might be his night over. But the top 3 close together as per usual. Hobson, Snell, and Favell, the top 2 from race 1, and Favell slightly compromised there on the exit as we're just getting news from race control. Ryan Jones has indeed been black flagged for that incident with Damien Westbrook. He's going to have to make a trip through the pits in addition to his regular scheduled pit stop. But Ben Snell pressuring Brenton Hobson again up at the front of the field as we ride on board with Jones. Looking at the train behind, and Jones has run wide at the kink onto the grass, just manages to save it, and taking avoiding action there, Damien Rasmussen, Sam Stride, and Daniel Stevens. It's side by side between Rasmussen and Jones, and Stevens is going to try to sneak through on the inside here, but Jones is wise to it and just stays ahead there on the exit of Canada Corner. That's given a bit of an advantage there to Damien Rasmussen, who sits in position number 4. Jones doesn't have to take this penalty right away. He can wait a couple of laps to do it, but I don't know if he's going to want to. Daniel Stevens there with a very aggressive entry into the final corner. Looks like Jones does go for pit lane this time around. Now the question is, will he be able to slow down in time? Bottom right-hand corner will tell the story. It looks like Jones making the tour into pit lane very nicely, as on the front stretch it's slipstream central between our top three. Hobson, Snell and Favell in that order once again. But Brenton Hobson has got a whole world of hurt coming for him if he makes just one mistake around this track.
Yeah, he certainly does, with the fact that he's got Ben Snell and Gregor Favell all over his tail at the moment. So they'll be taking advantage of a little bit of fuel saving from having that draft, but certainly won't want to give up the go at that much, with the fact that Brenton Hobson's trying his best to get away from them.
Indeed, as Favell pulls out almost to try and move there on Jones. He's going to stick with it here. No, Snell, going to try and keep himself behind Brenton Hobson for the moment. He showed hints of making a dive down the inside, but I think around a track like this with a race this long, you don't want to do it too early. You can take advantage of the slipstream and save a bit of fuel, because the drivers will have to think about fuel in this one.
Certainly will. They'll want to try and conserve as much as they possibly can and use that draft to their advantage. No clutch though, so going to make it very much a little bit more of a difficult challenge to save as much fuel as possible, but certainly going to be very, very possible to save a bit more fuel, and it's going to mean the difference between winning and losing if you're someone like Ben Snell, when the fuel fill rate isn't actually that high, from the fact that they're basically using jerry cans to fill the thing up.
Yeah, exactly. These are off-road racing trucks, and the racing in those off-road racing championships is usually just very short sprints, so they don't need to worry about a fueling system for these vehicles. But for the moment, they are going to have to worry about that, and this is Snell almost lining it up again on Hobson, but again, line astern behind the championship leader. Damien Westbrook, meanwhile, has retired from the session, and Brian Trezise has been disqualified for taking the start. Remember, he was supposed to start from pit lane because he failed to take his penalty in race one. Looking back a bit further, Sam Stride in the middle of this battle for fourth place. Damien Rasmussen managing to hold on very nicely there at the front of this miniature pack. But again, Daniel Stevens looking for some action.
Yeah, certainly going to be looking for some action as Daniel Stevens, but at the front of the field, Ben Snell has quite a run on Brenton Hobson, but again, doesn't decide to pass him. So looks like there's plenty of fuel saving going on in that top three, especially with Ben Snell in that. But up the inside goes Sam Strider, or tries to on Damien Rasmussen, but just can't quite brake late enough to get up the inside. Instead, we'll have to sit behind.
Yeah, that's the issue here with these trucks. You can actually get on the brakes quite late for this circuit. So if you are going to try and make a move up the inside, you've got to make sure that you are absolutely committed to it. Daniel Stevens well in the draft now of Sam Stride, as Stride gets the momentum on Rasmussen, as Brenton Hobson falls back into third place as Ben Snell then goes to the lead down at turn 5. It looks to me like Hobson might have lifted off for that, as Stevens up the inside of Rasmussen. Stride is now in fourth place, and they're 3 wide on the run up to this turn. Daniel Stevens sneaks through on the inside, locks it up, sends Sam Stride wide. All of them almost falling off the circuit there. Stevens falls back to the back of that train, and the only change in position ultimately has been between Rasmussen and Stride.
Yes, certainly very much full on between these three, and now it's going to be 4 now, with the fact that you've got Hayden Veld in the back of this, and Stride running a little bit deep as a result, and that's going to allow Rasmussen and Stevens to have another go at trying to get on by. Rasmussen's trying to squeeze up the inside. He's trying to get on and off the throttle to keep the car balanced and keep it rotating, but just doesn't quite manage to find the gap that he needs to get on by. But he's got a very, very nice run on Sam Stride down towards the kink, and just decides to stick behind for the time being, but certainly going to be trying to size up a move on the way into Canada Corner.
Yeah, look at that run there from Rasmussen. He has got some great momentum in the Synergy Sim Racing truck, and he is alongside Stride as they approach the braking zone for Canada Corner. Stride, though, holds on around the outside, which is going to give him the inside then for the penultimate corner here at Road America. Let's see if they make it through. No, they don't. Damien Rasmussen, contact with his side, and that has flipped him over. He's going to lose a bunch of positions out of that one and be carrying some very heavy damage. I don't even know if he's going to be able to finish the race. As Brenton Hobson going for the pit lane. Favell and Snell stay out. Looks like most drivers staying out here. Jaden Russell has decided to go for the pits as well. Another Synergy Sim Racing truck competing here today as Favell then goes to the overall lead of the race, passing Ben Snell into turn 1.
Yes, certainly, and it's on just behind as well. Stevens is up the inside of Stride, who runs a little bit wide right off the road, and that's going to allow Hayden Veld to slot on through as well. So Sam Stride going to lose 2 for 1 there in that one corner.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Hayden Veld as Hobson at a standstill there in pit lane. We'll get a bit of a sense as to how long pit stops take here. Brenton Hobson, 9.5 seconds stationary, which is much quicker than anyone else so far. Jaden Russell's pit stop 13.9 as Snell and Favell still going for it here down at turn 5. Snell with the slightly better traction out of turn 5, which allows him to sweep across the front of Gregory Favell into turn 6. Now the question is, between those two, which of them is going to pit first? Oh no, that's very wide there for Daniel Stevens. That's going to give an opportunity to Hayden Veld here. Stevens going to stay just ahead coming into Hurry Downs. They make contact, but Stevens leaves the door open on the inside there for Hayden. Is he going to go for it? No, backing out of it this time around.
You're just not quite able to get it done that time by, but certainly not a bad thing. You just be a little bit more patient and wait till the next opportunity that you can possibly get when you get a very nice run on the car ahead, but still have to wait and see because they're all still yet to take their pit stops, so it's going to be very, very close to see where they all come out in relation to each other.
Indeed, Brenton Hobson just coming into the corner before the carousel. Snell and Favell, meanwhile, are on the approach to Canada Corner. About, I'd say, a third of a lap ahead, and Snell leads the way. News from race control, meanwhile, Sam Stride has been given a penalty for that hit on Damien Rasmussen through this very corner. Rasmussen, as a result, has retired from the race due to that. Very unfortunate run for many drivers tonight. So Snell and Favell both into the final corner. Snell lays down the tyre tracks on the exit. Are they going to go for the pits? It looks like Snell's going for it, but Favell staying out. Interesting.
Very, very interesting strategy considering that Draft is quite the key player, but Stevens, Veld and Stride all coming into the lane this time by, so those three possibly going to have a little bit of a change in the pit lane as far as positions go. Hobson just coming through the final few corners now, and this is going to be very, very close to see where he comes out in relation to Ben Snell. I think it's probably going to end up being that it's going to jump them.
Yes, indeed. Kyle Gretch here, another one of the drivers that have stayed out in this race. He has yet to take his pit stop so far. He goes by Daniel Stevens, Sam Stride and Hayden Veld. Now the question is, looks like Stridey actually going to take his penalty on that particular lap. So he's going to come out now just ahead of Brenton Hobson. So there's going to be some wheel-to-wheel action between the two of them. It looks like Ben Snell has gotten out of the pits well ahead of Brenton Hobson there. What looks like Ben Snell was stopped for only 7.5 seconds, so he managed to gain 2 seconds on Brenton Hobson with that pit stop.
Yeah, it's a massive gain to get, especially considering this sort of track. So clearly did save quite a bit of fuel, or did take much less fuel than what Hobson will have had to being in clean air. So this is going to be very, very interesting to see how this plays out and whether Hobson's going to be able to recover back to, well, close that gap up to Ben Snell, and he's going to be able to get that past time and move back into the lead of this race.
Sam Stride lets Brenton Hobson go there. He knows that they're not actually racing each other thanks to the incoming penalty for Stridey. Doesn't want to get in the way of the championship leader too much. There's Daniel Stevens having just come out of the pit lane. He has come out ahead then of Hayden Veld. So Hayden's going to have to do a bit of a reset now. and try and get that move done once again. Riding on board with Gregory Favell up at the front of this field, coming down into the Canada corner section. You really get a sense for how much body roll these trucks have going through these short and sharp corners here at Road America, and just how early you have to make the turn. You can't change the setup on these things either. It's a fixed setup series. So it's all about how you as a driver can get the most out of your machinery. Out of the final corner, then using all of the runoff and pointing it straight towards pit lane entry. Gregory Favell going to go for his pit stop this time round. Now, question is, how fast is this stop going to be, and will he lose out to Snell and Hobson?
Coming through out of Canada corner now, so it's going to be very, very close, but I'd say it's going to be probably in favour of Snell, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Yeah, I'd say Snell's probably more than likely going to jump him here.
Hobson got slightly held up there by Gretch in the final sector as he and Sam Stride come together. Favell then into the pits and making his way up to his box. And the timer will begin. We'll see just how long he is stopped in pit lane. Snell already coming on by. And it looks like Favell is going to come out a long way behind these two. Still stationary as they go by him. Favell stopped for 13.9 seconds. I think he's taken way too much fuel there, unfortunately, as Sam Stride comes in to make his proper pit stop. Stevens and Veld move on ahead then into 5th and 6th.
They move up the order as a result of that. They'll be pretty happy with that, but certainly not what he will have wanted at all, Will Favell, with the fact that he had took too much fuel considering where he was, and you would have thought he would have actually needed to take even less than what Ben Snell was, considering he was sitting in behind the whole entire time. But nevertheless, it is what it is, so we'll see what he can do from here. But Hobson certainly has closed that gap down quite drastically over this last lap or so, despite being held up by traffic.
Yes, indeed. This is quite the drive from Brenton Hobson as Veld continues to close in here on Daniel Stevens. You see Stevens just running a little bit wide in certain corners, which is allowing Veld to just slowly creep up to the back of him. They both hit the apex all right there at turn 6, but I think it's a matter of time for Stevens before he has to consider defending. I think it's only a matter of time for Ben Snell too, because coming through the carousel, Brenton Hobson hanging the tail out and working the tyres really hard through that right-hander. His left tyre tracks pretty much the whole way through that corner. You can tell just how hard he's pushing.
Yeah, certainly not leaving anything on the table are those two, with the fact they're pushing very hard, and Snell just dipping 2 wheels into the dirt on the way through. The King certainly is pushing very hard to try and keep Hobson at bay, but Hobson rapidly closing that gap down with the fact that he's got the draft now, and you can see the gap closing even under brakes. And
caution.
Caution.
Hello. This might be a competition caution to bring the field back together for the final 3 or so laps of the race, because we're going to be spending at least 1 lap here behind the safety car. So that resurrects the lead battle, and it also resurrects the chances for drivers like Sam Stride and Daniel Stevens. I tell you who this really benefits is Kyle Gretch. He's not going to lose all that much time here behind everyone. He has yet to take his stop, and he's going to do that right now.
Yeah, he certainly is, but he's going to end up dropping to the back of the line with the fact that he's entered a closed pit, remember, so that's not going to be too ideal, but nevertheless, he's not going to lose out as much as he possibly would with the fact that we're under caution now.
Yeah, and I think this also neutralizes any concerns drivers would have had over how much fuel they have left to complete the race, because you're spending a lap behind the safety car. Yes, these things don't have a clutch, but that's still an awful lot of time spent at very little or no throttle, so that's going to be an extra few litres saved there.
Yes, there's going to be a few extra litres saved there. So even if you did underfuel ever so slightly, you're going to end up in a very, very good position by the time we go green again.
Yeah, I think we're going to have plenty of time here before the race goes green again, because, I mean, Road America, it's a long enough lap in these trucks, but when you're touring behind the pace truck at about 90 kilometers an hour, takes an awfully long time, in the vicinity of 3 to 4 minutes to make a lap around here. But you see the field gradually forming up there behind the pace truck. Snell, Hobson, Favell, Stevens, and Veld, your top 5, and then Jaden Russell completing the top 6. Coming through turn 5, Kyle Gretch has actually had his black flags cleared by race control, but I think he's still going to have to start at the back of the line here.
Yeah, may very well have to, but we'll see what happens as we get closer to the end of this caution. But nevertheless, it's certainly not a bad strategy to have waited till this point. I mean, we obviously didn't know this was going to happen, but certainly it's been a free kick for him as far as the pit stop goes, especially with the fact that he's now going to not have to take so much as what everybody else did.
Indeed. Free kick for Sam Stride as well. Remember, he had to serve that penalty for the incident with Damien Rasmussen. Well, Stride is currently in P10 and the last running truck at the moment. He was a long way behind everyone else, but now he's going to be right up there with everyone else when they take the restart, and that's going to be an extra opportunity for Stride to potentially move through the field and get some points back for a good showing here tonight.
It certainly is going to be a very, very good chance for him to recover some points and recover some positions as well, considering he got that penalty early on and has had to go down the lane twice now. So it's going to be very much a matter of trying to recover from here for Sam Stride and score some reasonable points, but it's going to be a very, very close finish with the fact that we may possibly go time student here.
Yeah, we might just. The race is set for 26 minutes maximum time, and we've just passed 20 minutes elapsed time. So if we want to get a finish here, the pace truck is going to have to come in at the end of this lap, but it doesn't look like it's going to. We're going to still have another lap here under caution when Morganti and Stride here catch up to the rest of the field. So who knows? We might only be completing 9 laps here at Road America.
Be a little bit devastating for someone like Sam Stride, especially with the fact that they've made their pit stop now and would have been in a really, really good position if we did end up going green with only about 2 laps to go. And Hobson faking an entry into the pit lane. That's an interesting move.
Yeah. Why would he do that? He has no reason to be doing that. Already had a longer stop than Snell, so we're sure that he has fuel to make it to the end, but I don't know, old habits die hard. I guess the pit stop fake out is something that you see an awful lot.
Hadn't have taken his pit stop. Well, if the field hadn't have taken their pit stops, I would have said that's probably quite normal. But yeah, that's certainly very, very odd maneuver there.
Indeed it is. Well, lights are out on the pace truck. We're going to be going green at the end of this lap, but drivers still have quite some time here to tour around and take it easy. A little bit of a calm down here before we get back racing again. 5.5 minutes on time, and a pace truck lap around here about 3 minutes and 45 seconds. So considering that a race lap is about 2 minutes 30, I think we're only going to get 1 lap of racing here when the pace truck comes in.
Yeah, so it's certainly going to be a sprint to the finish, and certainly going to be a very, very busy fight at the front of the field for those top few positions. And you probably really can't count on anyone in this field as to who's possibly going to end up winning this race, because anyone could come through with the win should those in front end up in a bit of a tussle.
Indeed. It might shake up the championship ever so slightly as well. Ben Snell is definitely going to gain points here on Mitchell McLeod and Ryan Jones. Also Justin Howe, who is currently operating in race control at the moment. He's not racing tonight. Howe was in 3rd place in the championship. I don't know if he's going to vault up into P3, but there's certainly a chance that Snell can do that with the results that he's had so far tonight. 2 second places certainly would put him in good stead.
Yeah, it certainly would put him in a very, very good state and come away with a very, very nice points haul. But do have to bear in mind that's also one other race that they've missed out on tonight. So
yeah,
probably a little bit less points on offer than you'd normally see.
Yeah, not going to gain as much as they would if there was a full 3-race complement here tonight. But Snell is crucially in the lead of this one, and if he can hold off the advance of Brenton Hobson, he'll be able to get that full score of championship points for a race win. It's just going to be a question of if he can hold off the charge, because he has got 9 other trucks behind him wanting that very same honour of that race win. So only a few more corners to go then, and the pace truck's going to pull in. It's going to be up to Snell to take the start, and I'm wondering how early he's going to go. Is he going to leave it right to the last moment, or go nice and early, try and get a gap over Hobson at the start?
Yes, we'll have to wait and see. You'd think he'd wait with the fact that that straight is so long, the draft is so strong, so it's going to be very much a matter of what he does. He's going to have to time it right and make sure that Hobson does not get any sort of advantage.
Righto. Coming up to the final couple of corners then, they're going to maintain speed and let the pace truck pull ahead slightly. Couple of test revs in the back of the field as everyone goes for what will be the final lap of racing here tonight at Road America. Snell up to the apex of the final corner, maintaining the pace, and Brenton Hobson's just waiting for that cue to put the power down there behind Ben Snell. They all form up a line of trucks coming up the hill. Up to Road America. Pace truck is in and Snell is away. He's managed to get a slight jump there on Brenton Hobson, and the gap extends as they come across the line. It's now 2-3 truck lengths, the gap between them, as we have white flag here at Road America. Just 2 minutes to go in the race. They will not be able to complete the rest of the allotted laps in time, as Veld going defensive versus Jaden Russell further back. And they almost come together, but no dice between them. Hobson has nailed the exit out of turn 1 and right on the back of Snell again. Snell runs a little bit wide there in turn 3. Just going to allow Hobson a very slight draft here on the run up to turn 5. Can Gregory Favell surprise us and involve himself in this top 3 battle again? But oh, bit of contact there as Snell tries to go defensive against Hobbo. They make contact. Hobson put off into the grass, and Snell moving back on ahead, protecting the inside. Hobson has to back out of it there, and Snell just losing grip on the rears. That allows Hobson through in turn 5 and back into the lead. Snell immediately defensive there against Favell. He had to back out, and that's allowed Daniel Stevens now into the top 3 positions. Stevens, though, gets concertinaed into the front of, whoa, Favell, as there's big, huge incident for Philip Howe.
Yeah, Howe's gone rolling on in the background, and that was just a little bit of contact between himself and Sam Stripe by the looks of it as well. So not what he will have wanted and not what Sam Stripe will have wanted at all, but all on at the front of the field at the moment, side by side. Jane Russell and Hayden Veld. Veld up the inside on the way into the carousel. He's going to try and get his elbows out to try and get this one to happen, and it's looking like he might just be able to get on by and has got that one sealed. But up the front, Ben Snell's going to have a whole heap of steam that he's going to have to worry about from behind, because Favell's going to be having a nice draft out of the kink on the way down towards Canada Corner.
Indeed he is. Brenton Hobson, it seems, is unthreatened now. He's jetted ahead there in the lead and will probably take his second from 2 race wins of the night. Ben Snell already going defensive here versus Gregory Favell. Does not leave him any space either side to make the move, so Favell just gives him a bump in the back. Tries to send him wide. Snell, though, hanging the tail out. Favell gets into the back of him again. Daniel Stevens certainly has an opportunity here to get onto the podium if they come together, but only 1 corner to go then. And it looks like Snell is going to get it done there. One final desperate lunge from Favell, but it's not going to work out. Daniel Stevens almost has Hayden Veld spin him around, but Brenton Hobson coming up the hill. It's been a perfect night for him. 2 race wins from 2 races competed. Another maximum haul here for the championship leader with Ben Snell. 2 second place is a fantastic run from him tonight, and Favell making it onto the podium in both races.
Yeah, very, very good night, especially for Favell to end up on the podium in both races so far and away with it some very, very nice points.
Indeed he will. We're going to get a quick virtual racing school replay here of the finish between Hayden Veld and Jaden Russell. Look at how close they were coming across the start-finish line. Just .016 between them. I mean, that's the kind of racing that you love to see up to the line. Unfortunately, Russell just not able to get it. It was only from only a wheel and a fender away from a top 5.
It was very, very close, but just wasn't to be in the end, unfortunately. But Hobson will be very, very happy to come away with another clean sweep.
Indeed he will. He's going to maintain and extend his championship lead. Now, as the celebrations begin, another night of racing then here in the Pro Truck Showdown coming to a close. And Hobson, Snell and Favell, certainly the stars of the night. We're going to be having the final round in a week's time. And it's certainly going to be a whopper no matter what track it's at. Again, we don't know what the next track is going to be. It's announced on the Discord the night before the event. But I think that Daniel Stevens and Hayden Veld can certainly be happy with their hauls here tonight. Veld, unfortunately, missing out there in race 1, but recovering to a top 5 finish in race 2.
Certainly very, very good result in the end. And a lot of drivers really mixing it up in this field as well, with the fact that you've got a few scoring some very, very nice points compared to those around them. But nevertheless, that final round is certainly going to provide some entertainment and certainly going to be one that is probably going to be very much a key points race.
Yeah, very much a key points race. Brenton Hobson there with the double win. Can he hold on to secure the Pro Truck Showdown title for Season 3? That is the question we're certainly going to be asking. And I've got to give a shout out to Riccardo Morganti there as well in P7. He's been a steadfast competitor of this series, and luck has very rarely fallen his way, but he's taken advantage of the reduced field and bad luck for other drivers and nabbed himself a double top 10 finish here. Very, very good to see. Well, we're going to say goodbye here at SimSpeed TV, and we're going to be catching you this time next Tuesday for the final round of this series. Who's going to take the championship? Hobson, certainly the favourite, but we'll see if Postlethwaite, McLeod, Snell or Jones can mount a challenge in the final 3 races of the season. Big thanks to our series sponsors, Scumander Coffee Mug and Hot Toddy's Heating Installs, and thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you've enjoyed the racing tonight. I'm Reese Gardner, Cameron Dance alongside me, Jay Kennedy making everything happen behind the scenes in the director's chair. From all of us here at SimSpeed TV, bye for now, but not forever.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.